Welcome to today's episode of the Declutter Hub Podcast, your channel for super easy, no-nonsense advice on how to declutter and organise your home. Please welcome your hosts, professional organisers Ingrid Jansen and Leslie Spellman.
Hello and welcome listeners to episode 122 of the Declutter Hub Podcast. I'm Ingrid. In today's episode, I'm talking to Hannah Murray. Hannah is a radio presenter at Talk Radio Europe, which is based in southern Spain. She started at Talk Radio Europe in 2005, first as a producer and researcher, and later she became the host of the daily magazine show, where she was interviewing up to 10 different guests a day. And some of her highlights include Eva Longoria, Tony Robinson, and Rick Stein. In 2012, she became the breakfast show host, and you can hear Hannah presenting Daybreak weekdays from 7 to 9 a.m. UK time. Hannah has also been presenting the book show for over 10 years and has interviewed some fantastic authors, including James Patterson, Sebastian Faulks, Jeffrey Archer, Jilly Cooper, and Lee Child. So welcome, Hannah. Thank you for being on the show.
Oh, thank you so much, Ingrid. It's really funny being the other way around, being the interviewee.
I know, because you and I were introduced to each other by a mutual friend, and I've been a guest on your breakfast show for 4 times talking about decluttering and organizing. Can I say that you've been inspired by our chats?
I really have. I've been inspired by you very, very much. And it all started at the beginning of the year when I did your declutter challenge in January. And coming towards the end of the year, I am a different person now.
Are you really?
Yeah, I'm a different person, and my house is different, and I'm more organized, and it is, all because of you. So thank you.
You know what? It's been quite a decluttering journey for you. So it started off, was it on your mind already last year that you wanted to think, I need to put this on as a priority? Or was it us chatting on the radio program that you thought, I really need to do this, and that you then got in the challenge? Or how did that develop? What happened?
Yeah, it's a bit of both. I mean, I've always wanted to be kind of, I hate to say cleaner because that suggests I'm dirty, which I hope I'm not, but more kind of, I feel like I am organized in some aspects of my life, but in my home, I sort of haven't been. In my mind, I am, but in my home, I haven't been. And I've sort of always wanted to be the type of person who's like, if I see a dirty surface, I have to clean it. And, constantly kind of mopping and making sure everything's as it should be. But I've never been that person. And yeah, it's one thing to want to be a type of person, but I don't know, sometimes you need a trigger in order to become that type of person. And definitely doing the decluttering challenge with you was my trigger. And I'm now changed.
Because it was the challenge back in January, wasn't it? It was I think it was the random acts of decluttering challenge, I think, that we did at the time.
Yes, so, I think it was 5 days, and it was a different thing every day. And I just sort of thought, right, I'm going to do this. I'm quite good sometimes with willpower, and I just made sure I did it every day, and it felt so good. I loved it. I was really excited by it.
And then what happened after the challenge? You were like, you enjoyed it. You had some good results. So what happened next over this kind of this past year? Did you focus on areas or rooms, or what happened? How did you tackle it?
Yeah, well, after I did the 5 different things in the declutter challenge, I'm just trying to remember what they were now. I know one of them was wires and cables and things. And I remember thinking, I don't really know if I've got loads of wires and cables that I needed to sort out. But once I started, I realized I did, and you find old mobile phone cables, old headphones that fit the old mobile phones that you don't have, all the old chargers, and just so many cables that I knew I didn't need and hadn't used for years. So once I started looking at these particular areas and getting rid of a load of stuff, recycling as much as I could, it just made me think, okay, now what? Now I've done the challenge, what other areas of the house can I look at? And it just kind of inspired me to keep going. And along with the getting organized came the cleaning aspect, and the two kind of went hand in hand. So I actually made myself a rota. I don't have children, it's just for me, a rota which I have on my fridge, which tells me which room I need to clean each day. And I have to be honest, I haven't kept that up all year at all, but it's still there. And it does kind of help me stay focused and remind me that I can do a little bit of cleaning each day, as opposed to spending the whole weekend doing it.
Yeah. And I think that's probably something you've realized as well. It's the same with decluttering. In the Declutter Hub, we're not about you have to declutter every day, but if you do a little bit more often, you can prevent yourself from spending suddenly 4 whole weekends on decluttering and completely running out of steam. Yeah. It's the same with cleaning, isn't it, really?
I was just going to say, at the weekends, it's nice to spend, if you're working hard during the week, it's nice to spend the weekends socializing or with family, or just chilling out, just relaxing. It's a shame to be spending your weekends cleaning or decluttering, if you like. So if you can try and do it, as you say, bit by bit during the week, then your weekends are free.
Yeah. Yeah. And you can then save the kind of bit of a larger project for over a weekend when you're not doing lots of other things. You kind of go, okay, right, I now feel ready to tackle something a bit bigger, because you've got those foundations in place as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
So where did you go after the challenge? Do you remember what was kind of the next kind of thing you thought, okay, I've now done those 5 kind of random areas, I've done my wires. Was there anything that you were like, okay, I really need to do that next?
I think one of the things I did was books. As you mentioned in the introduction, I host a book show. So I have loads of books in my house, and I love books. And before I moved to this particular house, I'd always wanted bookshelves in my lounge. I'd envisaged having lots of bookcases with lots of my favorite books all on display. And when we moved here, which was about 8 years ago, we were able to do that, and I loved it. And all the books, see, this is where I can be organized. All the books were in sections. So I had like half a bookshelf would have been like travel books. Then another one was all about cats, because we have cats, or had a cat. And then one for all quiz books, and then all non-fiction and fiction. So they were all organized in 3 different bookcases in the lounge. And I loved it. But then when I started decluttering and I was trying to think, okay, I want to minimalize a bit and have less stuff, I thought, well, I've done the book thing. I enjoyed having the books in my living room, but I don't need to continue that. I felt like I'd done what I wanted to do. And then I was able to get rid of some. So I got rid of loads of books. I mean, loads of books. And I took them to charity shops. And then the ones I wanted to keep, some are in the lounge, a small collection are in the lounge, just books on travel and health and well-being, I think. And then the rest have gone upstairs in different areas. So yeah, books was definitely one of the big things that I did. And I'm really pleased.
Yeah. And I think I remember seeing some pictures as well at some point. Maybe it was on the Facebook group, possibly, that you did your kitchen as well, and that you were absolutely surprised how well you did. You did fantastic, didn't you? I think I remember it clearly in my head. Tell me I'm not wrong here, because that it was somebody else, but I think it was you. I'm certain of it.
Yeah, no, it was absolutely me. Yes, I really enjoyed doing the kitchen. I mean, I'm very lucky. My husband's an amazing cook, and he does a large majority of the cooking. So the kitchen is really his domain.
Yeah.
But I really loved getting organized in the kitchen. It sounds like we have a massive house, and we really don't, but we have a pantry next to the kitchen, which is the biggest area that needed the decluttering. So I've really kind of organized all of that, and I know where everything is. And I just, he sort of thinks I'm a little bit mad, but then I explain, I say, no, it's good, because all of the things are here, and all of the sauces are here, and all of the herbs and spices are here. And so I just kind of explained to him where everything now lives, and he's like, okay, great, thank you very much.
So really big transformation and a big decluttering journey this year. So my question then, have you always been cluttered? even as a young child, or has it kind of grown? Maybe do you come from quite a cluttered family, or is it yourself over the years moving from one place to the next? What do you think is the background?
Yeah, I'm not really sure. I was wondering where it comes from. I guess I don't know. I have friends who are both. I have friends who are really super, not only organized, but dare I say, obsessive about cleaning.
Mm-hmm.
And literally, when you're sitting down with a drink, they're pretty much lifting your drink up so they can clean underneath it. That kind of obsessive about cleaning. And they just sort of say they've always been like that. And I think, well, I'm really not like that. So I don't know. I just kind of think we're all a bit different. I guess there's bits that comes from things we pick up from childhood. I certainly don't remember coming from a messy household at all. I know my parents do have a lot of stuff, which over the years I've really tried to help them get rid of and help declutter, which they're really happy and thankful for. It can be difficult to get rid. I'm one of those person who likes quite a lot of things. I'm quite easy, people say, to buy presents for, because I'm not that fussy. There's a lot that I like. So yeah, I don't mean people buy me lots of things, but I sort of find it difficult to get rid of things, because most times when people buy me things, I really like them. So
yeah.
I do tend to accumulate a lot of stuff somehow.
Yeah, it's interesting because I was just wondering, when you said that you were helping your parents, I'm thinking to myself, because you said they've got quite a lot of stuff built up over a lifetime, huh? Because that's what happens with us. Yeah, I've seen it in a lot of families.
Their parents as well.
Yeah.
That's the other thing that can happen when parents die and you take on all of their stuff.
Yeah.
Then you've got loads more that you need to go through. And it's not always easy. It can be hard going through your parents' things, obviously, because of sentimental reasons, can be even harder to get rid of things. So
for sure.
That as well.
Do you notice now you are getting less clutter? Do you notice the clutter more in their house?
Yes. Most definitely.
That's interesting, isn't it? So
yes.
Before you might not have noticed, but because you are now kind of finding this space in your house, I was wondering that. I know that's maybe a bit of a tricky question to ask, but I thought I can ask you this, and if you don't want to answer it, you can always say no.
Absolutely. Another thing, I noticed the opposite as well. When we got married just over 3 years ago, and when we were watching the wedding video, the bridesmaids were getting ready in my house, and my husband and his best man were getting ready in the best man's house, and their house is super clean, and it's spacious, and it's very minimal. They don't have a lot of stuff at all. And I remember when I was watching the video, just thinking, gosh, the difference in our houses was just ridiculous. Ours was like full of color and full of books and ornaments and stuff. And theirs is more kind of white and cream and streamline and just not many things. And I just thought, God, their place looks amazing. I need to get rid of some of our stuff. And that was about 3 years ago. So it took me a while to get there.
But that's what I hear a lot. It does take people time to get their head around it, and also like how am I going to do this, and when am I going to do this, and where do I start, and all of those things. That's interesting. That's very interesting. So you already said a moment ago that you're very easy to buy for. So besides books, because you already said you really enjoy them because you do the book club as well as a presenter, is there anything else that you thought, oh yeah, I do have a lot of that? Or is it, I have a bit too much of everything when I started on my decluttering journey?
Yeah, I think so. A little bit too much of everything. Also ornaments and things that I've collected over the years, and they're always things that I like. I mean, I guess that makes sense, but things that I've bought because I particularly like them or of sentimental value, but things that it's difficult to just get rid of it all, really, if you like it. I mean, I know that's one of the things you're not necessarily supposed to do. If it's something that you like, then keep it. But as I say, I like a lot of things. So that's when it gets difficult.
Yeah. Yeah. And then is, I think, really where the quality starts to come in over the quantity, right? Because that's, I think, maybe that's the realization you had, like, I do like all these things, but there's just no white space anymore. It's all just maybe a bit too much. And it took you a bit of time to get your head around that, maybe.
Yeah, and also realizing if you really will miss it. I mean, things with ornaments. I had one shelf where I had lots of little ornaments. And I remember my grandparents had that growing up, and I used to love it. And I thought, when I'm an adult, I'm going to have that. And again, I had it in this house and I loved it. But as part of the decluttering, I thought, no, I don't want to have all these little things out on a surface anymore. So I had a small box that had something like precious things written onto it. And I put them all in this box. And I thought, gosh, I can't believe I'm not going to have this out on the surface. I haven't opened the box once.
No.
I literally haven't opened it. Well, I can't even remember what's in it. I know I want to keep it, but for the moment, I don't miss any of it at all. And I think that's a great lesson, isn't it? You know, we think we want this stuff, and it's the same with clothes. You know, if you have clothes in your cupboard for so many years and you haven't worn them, do you really need to keep them?
Do you feel that you're happier in your house?
Yes, absolutely. It's a joy coming into my house and going into certain rooms. I really smile in a way that I haven't done before. If I go into the kitchen, it's always clean. Or if it's not, then I just think, I'll unload the dishwasher, put the new bits in the dishwasher, and then wipe the surface, done. And it takes like 5 minutes to do. And then the next time I go in there, it's clean. But before I literally just wasn't like that. And I'd think, well, I won't tell you how often, but every so often I think I should probably clean the kitchen, and it would be a massive job. Whereas now it just isn't, because I'm doing little bits all the time.
Have you noticed a change in the way you now shop for new things coming into your home?
I suppose I have. Yes, I'm a little bit more choosy, I guess. Before I buy something other than food and drink, but everything else, I think, do I really want that? Where am I going to put it? If I'm buying anything that's kind of ornamental, candle related, anything like that, like before I buy it, I think, now where is this going to live in my house? And I have to picture where it can go. And if I can't really picture where it can go, then I think, well, I don't need it, because I don't have anywhere for it. So yeah, I definitely think about things more before I buy. So I'm buying less, one might say, maybe.
Yeah. Are you sometimes now listening to yourself thinking, wow, is this really me? That was
time. All the time I'm questioning who I am, as is my husband. He's like, what have you done with my wife?
So has it affected how because of course, you know, there's two of you in your house. How has he felt you? Did he come on board straight away, or is he is he a tidy person himself, or is he like, whoa, what's going on here? How did he kind of go along on this journey here?
It's worked quite well. He is a tidy person himself, so that's nice. So he's definitely appreciative that I have become tidier. Mm-hmm. So that's good. I think he's been concerned a little bit that over the time that I'm becoming a bit too obsessive with it, which I know I'm not. It's just such a change from how I was before. So when I'm constantly going out and buying more like drawers in order to put things in, he's like, do we really need more drawers? But I know exactly where the drawers are going. You know, I'll open cupboards and I'll go, okay, if we have some drawers, I can put things. I know what's going to go where. So I think it sounds weird, but once he can see what I've done with the organizational drawers or whatever, he's quite impressed. Thankfully.
And it sounds to me like you're not just going to the shops randomly buying drawers. You're thinking about it in advance, like, okay, this is living here now. Actually, it could do with a box or a drawer to make it even easier to get to and to use the stuff. It's not like you're just driving to a shop randomly buying some drawers and think, I will see where it's going to fit.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I've one of the best things I've done this year, a few months ago, was the cupboards underneath my bathroom sink. And it's three cupboards next to each other, or three doors, if you like. And that was full of stuff. It was all bathroom related stuff, but I mean, loads of shampoos and shower gels, and they're great birthday presents. So over the years, I've had like box sets of things for the bathroom, and I've just had so much of it. So I've been saying for a while now, please don't get me anything from the bathroom because I have plenty of it. But it was just kind of all over the place, and then with like hair dryers and hair straighteners and things like that, just so much of it. But now everything is completely organized. It's just that each in baskets or drawers, and everything is separate. There's a little thing for lipsticks, a little thing for lip balms, nail varnish. I mean, it's all separate. It's fabulous.
Listeners, I wish you could see her face. She's got like this really happy face. I hope you can hear that in her voice, how happy she's. I mean, I'm getting you. I'm there with you. It's wonderful to be organized. And it's so nice to hear your story, because there's loads of people out there thinking, but I'm like her before she was, and I want to get there too. And it's a big thing, isn't it? To slowly but surely kind of untangle all the stuff. It takes time, doesn't it?
Yeah, it really does. And I know what you mean about people thinking that it's such a big job, when you've got to start somewhere. But when you do, if you do, like doing your decluttering challenge is the perfect example, because you've got the guidance there. You've got so each day it's just one thing. So using the wires as an example, I initially thought, wires? I don't think this is going to be applicable to me. I don't really have lots of wires. But yours was just saying, we'll find all the wires, go around, open drawers, open cupboards, and just gather all your wires together, look through them all, make sure you know what they're all for. All the ones that you realize you definitely need, put them in one section. All the things you're maybe not sure and you need to find out, put them in another section. All the things you definitely don't need, put them in another section, and you can discard them. And it's just really simple rules to follow that get you sorted. And I just felt great after doing that one thing. So I was just excited about the next day. And then it just started from there. It just made sense to me that this is a way I should carry on living my life.
So what are other successes that you now think we're into 2021? So you've had a whole year, 2020, of decluttering. It's been a strange year, let's be honest. I mean, it's been a really weird year. What are the successes that you now looking back think that was fantastic? That was, your bathroom that you were telling us. Are there other areas that you think, oh, that went really, really well, or that surprised me, or wow, that was much harder than I thought it was going to be?
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting what you say about 2020. I was reading something out on my radio show recently, and they were saying how in 2020, more than 2/3 of Americans have been doing things in their house, have been buying things for their house, getting new furniture, upgrading furniture, painting, doing DIY, because we've all spent that much more time at home. Mm-hmm. People are kind of seeing the environment that they live in and thinking, am I okay with this? Is this what I want? We could do something here. Maybe this room should be a different color, or whatever it might be. And I think it's inspired a lot of people to look at their space at home and make changes. We've had the time to do it, and it's been a great year for me in that respect, for getting done and just changing the way that I look at things, and being bothered about wanting my home space to be clean and tidy. And it's also much easier to have people pop round, because before, the idea of people just popping round, I was constantly saying, sorry, the place isn't tidy, sorry, I wasn't expecting visitors. I don't say that now because it's always clean, or it takes 2 minutes just to go, oh sorry, I'll just move this, just move that, done.
Yeah, nice feeling, isn't it?
Yeah.
So what is the next step then on your decluttering journey? I mean, you've done a lot of the big areas in your house. You've talked about your pantry. You've talked about your books. You've talked about the kitchen. So what's next? Have you got any idea? Have you already pinpointed that this is what I'm going to do next? I'm going to focus on.
There's an area at the top of the house. It's like an office, but it's a small room, so it's never actually really used as an office. So it's basically a storage room. Mm-hmm. And there's a couple of boxes in there which is full of my stuff from childhood. So there's a lot of school books and things like that, but mostly photographs. There are hundreds, if not thousands, of photographs. I've always loved taking photos, and of course now for many years everything's been digital, so everything's stored on computers or disk drives. But I have loads of photographs from, I did a year in Australia, and I've always wanted to make an album of all of that. So that definitely would be an amazing project to do, to sort through all my photographs. There'll be a lot that I can get rid of, but then there'll be some really amazing ones that I haven't looked at for years that I can put in an album. So yeah, that's something I'd like to tackle this year in 2021.
Oh, that sounds so exciting. And I think you're right. You are very right to do other areas in your house first and keep that. Now you've built up your decluttering muscle, you've thought about, I already love it. You're already thinking about the project, what the goal is. The goal is to have it more sorted. And one of the sub goals is I want to make a book from my Australia trip. Mm-hmm. But you're already thinking ahead. You haven't pulled the boxes out and then go, okay, what's the plan here? You are already thinking ahead, like, this is what I want to do. I need to start thinking about what's my aim here, what's my goal, and how am I going to get there? And it will be a project's probably going to take you a while, because sentimental items always do. But I think you're going to find much enjoyment out of it. And
yeah.
I think you're going to find exactly the gems in there. And also maybe now, because time's gone by, it's maybe easier to discard the blurry pictures and discard the ones that have heads cut off. And you're like, I don't even know this person anymore. Who are they?
Exactly. Yes, definitely.
So do you feel life is easier with less clutter? Is that kind of the overall message here?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's really true what they say when people say if you have less clutter in your house, you have less clutter in your mind. And it is true. Everything just sort of feels a bit airier, if that's the right word.
Yeah. Interesting. Is there anything else you would like to share with our listeners? Have you got maybe some insight or thing that you thought, oh, I really want to share this to the listeners of the podcast?
I just like to say, go for it. Don't be scared. Don't be nervous. Start small. Start with something really, really small, whatever it might be. Your cupboard with tins in, your dog food area. I mean, literally just a small section of the kitchen as opposed to the whole kitchen. A drawer, a cupboard, that kind of thing. Start small. Take everything out of that particular section and work out what you don't need that you can take to a charity shop, things that have to go in the bin, things that can recycle, and things that you want to keep. Clean that drawer, clean that cupboard, and put it in how you want it. And I think you'll be surprised how it stays like that, as long as you make it stay like that. If you start putting weird things in weird places, then that's down to you. But I think once it's kind of all nice and organized, I believe it's normal to want to keep it that way.
Yeah, interesting. All right. Well, listeners, are you inspired by Hannah's story? I mean, over a year ago, she was quite
messy, you could say
messy. And actually, in not that long a time, she's really kind of changed her life. And she's now seeing clutter in places that she hadn't even spotted before. It's really, you sound very happy. So I can see that it's really helped you change your mind. And I do believe, I fully agree with you, having less clutter around you really frees up your mind to think about other things and actually spend time in your weekend with the people that you want to hang out with and do the stuff that you want to do. So listeners, we really hope that me talking to Hannah has inspired you as well. So thank you, Hannah, for being a guest on our show.
Thank you so much for inviting me, Ingrid. I've really enjoyed it, and it's been lovely to be the one answering the questions from you.
I know, you're now the interviewee instead of the interviewer.
Yeah, it's lovely. Thank you.
Oh, well, thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it. That's it for this episode. So thank you all so much for listening. And we hope you are inspired to take action, because that is what the Declutter Hub is all about. And we appreciate you taking the time to listen today to us. If you've enjoyed this podcast, please share it with others. Maybe your friends and family would love our show too. And on our show notes page on our website, you can find the sharing buttons. If you want more handy tips and advice from Leslie and I, you can find us in lots of places. We have a fab supportive Facebook group called the Declutter Hub Community, which is a great starting point. And you can find us on Instagram and Facebook page too, as at Declutter Hub. And we'd love to see you there. Take a look at members.declutterhub.com to find out more about our VIP membership. If you don't want to miss the next podcast, subscribe to the Declutter Hub podcast and it will pop into your notifications each Friday. So thanks so much for listening, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks for listening to this week's episode of the Declutter Hub podcast. Check out declutterhub.com for more inspiration, and don't forget to tune in next week.